I've been selling drugs since I was 12 years old. All my life, it was like an on and off thing, and I hustled because that's what I knew. That's how I was brought up. And on my 22nd birthday, I caught my first and my only offense. I remember being in that county jail for about 2 years. And in those 2 years, I probably went to court like 20 times and only went upstairs about 5. But one of those times I went upstairs to the court, it was a kid from Seton Hall Prep. And he had charges very similar to mine: unlawful possession of a weapon, possession of cocaine, and I had unlawful possession of a weapon and possession of crack cocaine, and we both had no records prior, arrest or convictions, anything as a juvenile. And he walked out of there with 3 years probation, and I sat and I sat and I sat. When I was released from prison, I was 25 years old, and I was definitely ready to re-enter society. When I was in the halfway house, I attended Essex County Community College, and I did the program there as far as the re-entry program. Having a label of a felon, trying to get a job, is just like close to impossible. When you see that question, have you ever been convicted of a felony? You just want to say no, because once you put yes, it's over. You're not getting employed. That's what I was faced with every time. But I figured, look, I couldn't get a job, so I might as well try this education thing. I wanted to get a trade, and I seen this commercial on TV. It was talking about boats and all this other stuff, ATVs, and I'm like, I'm a hands-on kind of guy. So I wanted to, test the waters, and I tried to get into college. I tried to do the vocational schools, and due to my record, it was like, nah, you're not allowed on campus. We went from apartment complex to apartment complex, and, housing was the issue. I remember the first apartment complex we went to, sat down with a lady. My wife was filling out all the paperwork, put my name down on it. And shortly after that, we got a phone call. And it was just like, y'all can't stay here because of his felony. Basically, is not older than 8 years, this, that, and the third. Honestly, I just don't think they wanted a felon on the premises, period. And I mean, being home, being a felon, like, if you can't find a place to live, what you gonna do? I mean, where you gonna be? You're gonna be in that same position, doing the same exact things you was doing before. I couldn't provide at one point, and that's the worst feeling for a man, not being able to provide for your family, not being able to provide, for your kids when they ask you for something. Like, that's just the worst feeling, and I think that's the reason a lot of people actually go back to prison, because they go back to what they know. But you can't provide if you become part of that repetitive system and that door, that revolving door, if you get locked right back up. When I look at all them barriers where somebody wouldn't give me an opportunity, to prove that I was a changed man, I had to create my own. Don't wait on opportunity. Like, you got to create that opportunity. And that's what I was able to do. And now I have a successful photography business. And each year it's just growing bigger and bigger. We like the top sports photographers, senior photographers in our area. And, I'm just growing and I'm learning and I'm continuing to learn and stay innovative, because that's what it takes. 5 years after I was released, I decided that I was going to try to expunge my record. Honestly, I never really thought about it before, because people always told me that it was impossible in the state of New Jersey to get your record expunged. The only reason I actually did it was because I met this group of middle school girls that wanted me to be their coach. And I realized that, my life, it was more to it than just me, and my family. But I had the chance to impact these kids' lives and, some of the decisions that they was going to make in the course of their lives. Those group of girls, that team, that was the real reason I even pushed to get my record expunged. I was actually dealing with the court system myself, and I remember calling there, and I just kept getting a runaround. So I decided I needed to find another route. In some type way, I stumbled across legal services in New Jersey. They understood that I was a changed man. At that time, I had a food trailer, I had the photography business, I had my family, I had a lot of support in my community. I remember writing this letter, sitting down with my wife, and we was writing a letter to the courts, trying to get them to expunge my record. And I remember some of the points that I made about, I was 22 years old. It was my first and only offense. And I remember just talking about, like, all the accomplishments I made with a felony. I started my own business. I was an outstanding member in my community, volunteering for the Chamber of Commerce, doing things with the kids. We had a youth group we started, the food trailer business I had. I remember just telling all that. One of the key factors that I put in that letter was like, if you deny me this expungement, you're not denying me. You denying these kids. You denying this next generation that I have the chance to influence, like I said, impact and inform, that I can go in and give my story to say, yo, don't make these mistakes, like I did that. That had a lot of weight, on the courts making a decision, along with the support of the teachers, the pastors, the sheriffs, Chamber of Commerce, and everything like that recognized me as being like a outstanding member in the community. The process starts before the expungement, and I think that was key in my turnaround. Like I treated myself as if, in my situation, as if I already didn't have a record, and that's how I attacked everything. You know what I mean? And I think that's what got me ahead, was the fact that, I held my integrity. I kept my mind straight, and I had support. I had my family, I had my wife, I had my mom. I had a lot of support from people in the community. Like I just changed everything, from the negative, I cut off, and I just attracted and got support from a lot of the positive, and it gave me a new outlook on life. And I think that was one of the main things that pushed me forward. I remember just getting that letter in the mail, and I passed it to my wife. I couldn't believe it. I was like, yo, am I reading this right? And she was like, yeah, yo, you expunged. Like, we did it. Hey, yeah, we did it. Right after that, I remember going into the school, when a season came around, I was able to coach those middle school basketball girls. I became a substitute teacher. I became a board member for the Chamber of Commerce. Like the list goes on. I be doing prison ministry. I go into the prisons. You know what I mean? Because I no longer have a record. So the same place that I came from, I always wanted to go back into, God provided a way, opened that door. And now I'm able to go in there and give them hope.